My name is David Alvarez. I am the independent candidate for Santa Cruz County Recorder here in Arizona. I grew up in Douglas and Elfrida and had a really, really good time, and I would be farming if times were a little bit different. After high school, I went to Phoenix, went to DeVry and studied electronics. In 1989, I moved back to Pima County, where I have been a field service engineer out in southern Arizona. I have supported all levels of businesses and government in the document arena. In 1999, I opened and founded a distribution for Sharp in Sonora, Mexico, and including Nogales and Hermosillo, allowing me to understand the importance of the partnerships between the United States and our partners to the south. I also had a small business in documents and printing in Nogales, Arizona, that I founded. I am currently the service manager for Sharp Business Systems, a technology leader here in southern Arizona. I'm a big advocate of the youth and the schools and the community. I serve on several boards. I'm the president of the Rio Rico Band Booster. I am the scoutmaster for our troop here in Rio Rico. I am a past Grand Knight and the current Deputy Grand Knight for the Knights of Columbus. I am also serving on the PAC as a committee member for Santa Cruz Unified 35 on a bond issue that will build to bring our community and our schools closer together. I'm here to represent the constituent and the community. I'm somebody who can get the job done, who works hard, and is a critical thinker. With that, I am asking for the support of all of Santa Cruz County in becoming the next county recorder in the November 2020 election. I want to thank you, God bless you, and God bless America.
Can you tell us a little bit more about what are your qualifications in respect to the responsibilities of the county recorder? And are you familiar with the types of documents you would be working with?
I have been in the document industry pretty much all of my professional life. Being able to have documents available on the World Wide Web right now and having those at our fingertip is something that's very important. The movement of those documents, the ability to access them, the ability to find them is very important. Being able to do that easily, being able to do that at a reasonable cost is something that will promote and can promote the growth of our community. This is one of the areas where this county is one of the areas where it's a little bit difficult to obtain some of that information. So my knowledge in the document industry with the document softwares and document administration make me a qualified person. The second aspect of the recorder's office is voter registration and being able to host those have those databases with information of voters and registered voters. But I believe that it's not only registering voters, it's educating voters. We can have programs that run in schools through everywhere from our elementaries through our junior highs and our high schools, allowing the students to understand the importance of elections and how elections do work. So it's not necessarily just being able to manipulate those databases and host those databases, but it's actually in the election process. I believe that having information on candidates, on issues, and putting that information out there is much more important. Being an American who knows, has an opinion on different issues in the government and how our governments work, both on our county levels, on our state levels, and somewhat on our federal levels. makes me qualified because I've seen it, I've lived through it, and it's something that's very, very important to all of us and to our future.
What do you feel are the most important responsibilities of the county recorder, and how will you make improvements to the position if you are elected?
The important responsibilities are, as I mentioned before, the storing of the documents digitally in this day and time, and accessing those documents. And again, we have to really work on accessing those documents. Currently, they are stored on a server outside of the county in a proprietary format, which is not really used anymore. Most of the counties have brought those documents back into their servers where they can have access to them, and the cost is definitely a lot more reasonable than having them out in a proprietary area.
There have been news reports about inaccuracies in voting across the country. How would you, as the county recorder, maintain the accuracy of the voter rolls to assure voters of a fair election?
The part of the voting that is administered through the recorder's office is the PVOL, the early voting ballot that is both mailed out and received at the recorder's office. When it's received, those signatures are checked, each one by one, to make sure that it is the person who was registered to vote who's voting on that ballot. I've seen it. I've been there. I was a deputy recorder, and I did participate in part of that election. Now, I've already done something in the past when I was there, Alicia, to save some of that integrity. The way that the early ballot was transported from the post office to the county was not favorable back then. What I was able to do and implement was where the postmaster would count every ballot every day, would sign off on the document. The recorder's department would go to the post office, recount the ballots, and verify the counts, and then they were transported by the police department to the county recorder. The integrity of the vote is very important. There are functions that the recorder can help along with the elections department, because some of this does fall along the lines of the election department and their responsibilities. But there are ways to check and double check with counts. Once the elections are done, we can check counts of what early ballot was, how many early ballots were here, how many were sent over to the elections department. The storing of that early ballot is also very important, because it's stored up until the day of the election when they all go over to the counting machine. Another part is in the mailing out of the early ballot. I have unfortunately found in my interviews with people and walking, is that there's ballots that are sent out to people who have been deceased. So that would be one big focus to see and make sure that the integrity of that vote is maintained. The transparency, again, there's a couple of things that I've seen where when we're counting that early ballot, there should be, and that person should be identified, a person from each political party. There should be a Republican, a Democrat, an independent in that room while those documents are being checked, while that ballot is being checked, the signatures are being checked. Again,
what do you think about online voting? And if you think it's a good idea, how would you assure the security of online voting?
Being in the technology sector, we sell security. Security is breached daily at corporate levels. We see that. I don't believe that at this time we are prepared to handle online voting.
With the looming budget cuts in the county budget, how do you feel about consolidating polling places? For instance, having one polling place for both Sonora, Elgin, and possibly Patagonia?
Polling places had been consolidated before, and I like what the Secretary of State has done, where you can vote in your county at any poll place.
Are there any technological improvements on your wish list?
We're behind on technology, unfortunately, a little bit in the county. We need to take technology, embrace it, and we need to make sure that we're using technology to the advantage of growth. We have to look at some of the growth. We need job opportunities. We need businesses to grow. We need businesses to come in. So the technology portion is where it's important, and the investment has to be made. Um, I'm not saying that the county is behind the times, because I've worked with the IT department, and they're very competent, and we do have room where we can grow there. I do know that they've upgraded some of their servers, um, so that's a big help. It's like, well, how expensive is it? Well, there's nowadays, and you can see behind me, these pieces of equipment can do things that you had to have 4 or 5 pieces to do what these things can do now.
What would you do so that recorded documents relating to property sales could be made available more promptly? For example, in Pima, Cochise, and Maricopa counties, many of these documents are available within an hour of filing, while in Santa Cruz, it takes sometimes days to provide this information.
There was some cross training when I was there before. There's really one person who's going through the documents that are filed electronically, and recording those documents. Although she does a good job, um, there's definitely some room for some improvement. Um, if we cannot hire more personnel, then the recorder should probably get in there and get their hands dirty and do some of the work. That's going to help. A lot of that, what you're talking about, is some of the manual uh, portions of the document process, where they're checked and make sure that they're recorded properly, that they're filed properly.
Continuing with that conversation, most older documents at the recorder's office from 1960 to 1980, for example, are not available online. Do you see that this would be a priority for you as a recorder? And if yes, what would you do to achieve this?
Again, if we're finding that people are needing this information, then we definitely need to work on it, and work on it very diligently, and get it done as quickly as possible. Information is key. That's what's going to help our community to grow. That's what's going to let businesses come in. They do the research in the recorders department. They look to see if there's property available. They look to see if there's restrictions on deeds, and if big companies of pharmaceutical can't find that information, then they're probably not going to come here. If they can find that information easier somewhere else, so that information, even if we think it's old, and it's not pertinent anymore, it is. So it's definitely, the documents need to be digitized, and everything needs to be available. Um, I'm not going to say necessarily on the World Wide Web, but it has to be available in a fashion that is quick and efficient and cost effective.
What would you do to improve customer service at the recorder's office?
Training is the biggest portion. I'm not sure if the recorder's office has sent any of the personnel to training. I know that there's been a little bit of a high turnover rate there. So training is key, and being at that office every day is what's going to improve that. When you're there and you're overseeing your office as you should be, that will bring improvement on its own. We make sure that we have the people that are representing us at our city levels, at our county levels, at our state levels. And when we do that, we will have such a strong mechanism that you're not even going to see what the feds do or don't do. Uh, and that's really a big portion of it. And it's not brain surgery. Folks, if you're going to do anything, please, please vote. If you don't know what the issue is, if you don't know the person, don't feel obligated to vote. You don't have to do that. Cast your vote for the person that you know and that you've studied on. Again, I'd like to thank everybody for watching this. I want to thank you one more time for having me on. Uh, let's get out there and do it. And God bless everybody, and God bless America.